Gavin Newsom just spent $9 billion of your money on health care for illegal immigrants. $9 billion. And part of that money, part of your money, just bought a guy from Honduras a brand new set of breast implants. I'm not making this up.
As if California wasn't crazy woke enough already, explosive new reporting from the Manhattan Institute. It exposes, get this, taxpayer-funded sex changes for migrants. It's all thanks to Gavin Newsom expanding his state's health care program, which now includes all illegal immigrants. California spends about $9 billion on illegal immigrant health care.
Taxpayer-funded sex changes for immigrants, $9 billion. And it gets worse, because Fox News pulled the actual guy on camera in a San Francisco homeless shelter and asked him the question straight up.
Taxpayer funded, free.
Yeah, even though you're undocumented, you can get it.
Were you able to get the hormones or?
Yeah, I did that with my doctor.
So Medi-Cal, you got the breast implants?
Yes.
Free. Yeah, that's you. And that's your paycheck. That's your grandma's Social Security. That's the widow down the street who can't afford her insulin. All of you just bought that guy a new chest while you're clipping coupons to feed your kids. Gavin Newsom used your tax dollars to buy an illegal immigrant from Honduras a brand new set of tits. And then it gets even better, because Fox put the Democrat in the chair, Jessica Tarlow. Her job on the 5 is to defend whatever Democrats did that week on live television. And Gavin Newsom handed her this to defend. Watch her try.
California's thesis, and by the way, these aren't federal tax dollars, they're state tax dollars, is that undocumented people who are here, just like they do in all 50 states, are going to go to an ER. Right? When they get sick, they are going to go in, so that it actually is fiscally more responsible for them to be able to have insurance.
I need boobs. It's an emergency.
I'm sick of it.
Did you catch that? Did you catch what she just said? She said it's fiscally more responsible to give illegal immigrants breast implants than to let them go to the emergency room. And that's the argument. That's what the Democrats are selling you. Breast implants are cheaper than health care. And Jesse Waters, God bless this man, Jesse looks right at the camera and says, and I quote, "I need boobs. It's an emergency." That's the only correct response. That's the response of a sane human being who just heard something so insane that they had to make a joke, because otherwise they would just start screaming. And then Greg Gutfeld comes in. And if you haven't seen Greg Gutfeld absolutely torch this on live TV, you're about to.
I don't envy Jessica in this case, because this is the hill that your party chose to die on, and you're going to continue to die on it.
The hill your party chose to die on, and you're going to keep dying on it. Yeah, they are.
Free sex changes for illegals effectively kills off satire for the left. The left can't meme starting in such an absurd place. I mean, how do you make fun of anyone? Are you going to say, "Hey, righties, you're weird. You believe women can't have penises"? Oh, you got us. You don't want to give tits to trannies? Yeah, you got us too.
Kills off satire for the left. That is the line of the year. Because how do you make fun of those people anymore? How do you write a joke? You can't. They're doing it for you. The right used to say, "Hey, women don't have penises." And the left said, "You're weird. You're a bigot." Now the left is saying, "Hey, we're going to use your tax money to turn men into women in homeless shelters." And all you can say is, "Yeah, you got us. You got us on that one. We surrender. You win. You win the weirdness contest." So I started digging, because when I see something this insane, I want to know one thing. How much of my money are we talking about here? And it's worse than I thought. Gavin Newsom in 2024 expanded Medi-Cal, California's Medicaid health care for the poor, to cover every single illegal immigrant in this state, regardless of status, regardless of age, full coverage, full scope, which includes, and nobody told you this, gender-affirming care, which is the fancy word for hormone therapy, breast implants, and what they call bottom surgery, which, if you don't know, is when they take a man's private parts and surgically turn them into something that looks like a woman's. On your dime. The state told Newsom it would cost $3 billion a year. Well, they were off by $6.2 billion in 1 year. The overrun alone, the oops, we messed up number, was $6.2 billion. Now, listen, California is not rich. California is broke. Watch Emily Campagno put the number on the table.
3% of that state doesn't even have the internet. Because I'm a Californian, $1.6 trillion in debt in that state. When you include local governments and unfunded pensions, you're absolutely right. And the argument, the defense of that is, well, we're the largest economy. That is like saying, dismissing a leak because you have a really big boat. The leak will eventually sink you.
$1.6 trillion in debt. Trillion with a T. When you include local governments and unfunded pensions, and Gavin Newsom in the middle of all of that decided the most important thing he could do with your money was pay for sex change surgeries for illegal immigrants. Now, let me put a face on this for you. You are a 62-year-old widow in Bakersfield. Husband died 2 years ago. You're on a fixed income, arthritis, you need a hip replacement. You're on Medi-Cal because you worked your whole life, but Social Security doesn't cover private insurance. The state tells you, sorry, Grandma, benefits are getting cut. Federal money is tight. The budget is tight. You'll have to wait. Meanwhile, a guy named Jacqueline, I'm not making that up, that's his name, walks into a San Francisco homeless shelter, says he's from Mexico, says he identifies as a woman, and walks out with a brand new pair of breast implants. Paid for by the same system telling Grandma, stick around. Wait a minute, we don't have enough money for you. And he's waiting on the next procedure, all right? This was gonna flip your lid on this, the bottom one. You do the math on what that costs. Now, this story came out, caused a firestorm, and Newsom's office, well, they didn't apologize. They didn't back down. They doubled down. Watch this.
Gavin Newsom, in his continued stupidity, and I love the word odious defense of this, said, no, guys, it's not woke for wanting people to not die in the street. Like, if you want them to die in the street, go ahead. Don't fund this.
Give them the breasts or they'll die.
Right. This is the...
Die in the streets. That's what the spokesperson said on the record in 2026, that if we don't give illegal immigrants taxpayer-funded breast implants, they will die on the streets. Greg's response, well, give them the breasts or they'll die. That's not a joke. That's literally what the governor's office said. The argument from Newsom is that a breast implant, which you, as an American citizen, would pay $10,000 to $15,000 out of pocket for, is life-giving care for an illegal immigrant in a homeless shelter. Now, if Grandma dies because she can't afford her heart medications, tough luck. That's the free market. If Jacqueline doesn't get his top surgery, that's a human's right emergency. That's dying in the streets. That is California being woke, which apparently is a compliment now. And Greg isn't done, because he starts asking the questions I'm asking. The question you're asking right now, why? Why the hell do they keep doing this?
By the way, one is too many. And even though it's state, I'm from California, I'd be pissed as hell. Why do progressives follow this path? Because to them, it's free. Their compassion is free. All needs and desires are 100% mandatory because the rest of us pay.
Their compassion is free. The rest of us pay. That's it. That's the whole grift in one sentence. Gavin Newsom isn't being kind. He isn't being generous. He isn't being brave. He's writing checks with your checkbook and posing for the photo ops. It cost him nothing. It cost you everything. And Greg nails the next part. Listen.
The politicians, they don't have to. They just take the credit for it. But there is absolutely nothing compassionate about taking a taxpayer family money to give breasts to some weirdo. It's not virtuous or brave. You're not incurring any kind of like cost. We are.
Say it louder for the people in Sacramento. It's not virtuous. It's not brave. It's not compassion. Real compassion costs you something. When you donate to the food bank, that's compassion. When you help your neighbor with the broken car, that's compassion. When Newsom takes your money at gunpoint through taxation and spends it on boob jobs, that is not compassion. That's theft, dressed up in a rainbow flag. And Greg, God bless him, he doesn't stop. He breaks down the entire ideology of the left in 60 seconds. And you need to hear this because this explains everything. Watch.
The left operates in this world. The reason why they do this is they operate in a world where they try to trick you into thinking that behind every story is an evil, rich man subjugating the poor and the marginalized. And they use that equation in all situations, forgetting that a city is actually millions of hardworking people with mouths to feed.
Behind every story, an evil rich man. That's the story the left tells themselves every single day. That's the lens. That's the lie. That's the filter. Every problem, every issue, every policy. There's always some villain in the mansion we have to go take from him. But Greg's right. That's not what a city is. A city is millions of regular people with mouths to feed. Pipe fitters, nurses, delivery drivers, teachers, small business owners. And here's where Greg goes nuclear. Watch this next part because this is the line that made me text 3 people last night.
They try to get you to believe that a pipe fitter with 3 kids is no less, is no less exploitive than, say, that evil rich man who lives on the hill. Therefore, we can take from that pipe fitter, we can take from that blue collar worker and give it to the pedo who wants boobs because the left sets no limits on their Marxist oppression.
Did you catch that? The pipe fitter with 3 kids. That's you. That's your brother. That's your neighbor. That's the guy doing HVAC in Fresno. That's the single mom pulling double shifts in Riverside. That's Rick in Rancho Cucamonga paying $8 a gallon just to get to work in the morning. And the left has convinced themselves that the pipe fitter with the 3 kids is no less privileged than a billionaire on the hill. Same category, same guilt, same obligation to pay up. So they take from the pipe fitter, they take from you, $50 here, $100 there, $1,000 a year, and they gift it to a guy in San Francisco shelter who wants bigger boobs. Because as Greg says, the left sets no limits on their Marxist oppression. And if you object, watch the final Greg beat, because this wraps it up.
They disguise it as compassion, and every single person who is against it is the evil rich man.
There it is. That's the whole game. They disguise theft as compassion. They disguise mismanagement as virtue. They disguise it all as kindness. And if you say it out loud, hey, wait, maybe grandma should get her hip before we pay for Jacqueline's chest. You become the villain. You become the evil rich man, even though you're driving a 10-year-old Corolla with 180,000 miles on it, trying to make rent. That's why nothing ever changes. That's why this keeps happening. That's why we're $6.2 billion in the hole, and grandma is still waiting. Now, let me tell you about my favorite part of this segment, because Emily Campagno was a volunteer EMT when she lived in California, volunteer firefighter. She transported patients to the ER, and she said something on air that gave me chills.
Squire was an EMT. But we transported people often to the emergency rooms. This is why I'm bringing this up. So don't tell me that the beds that were those extra beds that are filled with homeless veterans, the elderly, and so much more somehow need to be vacated for an illegal immigrant that wants a pair of boobs. That is atrocious. It is appalling. And no one is calling the governor on that because he gets away with it.
Homeless veterans, the elderly, moms and kids getting pushed out of ER beds so Jacqueline can recover from his top surgery. That is happening right now in your state. Somewhere in California tonight, a homeless vet, a guy who served this country, came home broken, is being turned away from a hospital bed because that bed is full, because some guy who snuck in 6 months ago is in it, recovering from elective cosmetic surgery that cost you 50 grand. And you know what they call you if you say something out loud about this? Watch.
No one is calling the governor on that because he gets away with it, with mismanaging his own state, with flushing it down the toilet, with the exodus of all of us who have common sense to leave by saying you're racist or you're a transphobe if you dare to question the ludicrous nature of that guy standing on the sidewalk with his size triple D tits.
Racist, transphobe, exodus, triple D tits. Emily just said it. Nobody's calling the governor on it because he gets away with flushing the state down the toilet by calling anyone who notices a bigot. That's the playbook. Steal your money, give it to illegal immigrants for cosmetic surgery, and call you a racist if you object. I've been in California my whole adult life. Iranian kid came over in '77, sold real estate here for 20 years. Watched this state go from the golden state to what it is right now. And I'll tell you what I hear on the phone every single week now. Mom and dad selling the house, moving to Texas, Arizona, Tennessee, Florida, taking the grandkids, families, 3 generations, scattered across the country because we can't afford to live in a state our parents built. Meanwhile, Jacqueline got a free apartment, free health care, free hormones, free implants, and a governor who says he'll die in the streets without them. This isn't a budget problem. This is a priority problem. Newsom could have spent $6.2 billion on homeless veterans, on fixing schools where kids can't read at grade level, on paying down the $1.6 trillion in debt, on any of 1,000 things Californians actually asked for. He chose the boob job. And let's let Jesse Waters take us home, because Jesse somehow during this whole disaster still found the line that sums up this entire thing.
I'm with Emily. I think he went too big. I would have gone with the C cup.
It's so big.
You know, this isn't for women. This is boobs for dudes. This is not health care.
Right.
Okay, this is cosmetic surgery for homeless illegal aliens.
That's the video. That's the whole story in one sentence. It's not healthcare. It's not compassion. It's not life-saving care. Dude, it's cosmetic surgery for illegal immigrants in homeless shelters at state expense, paid for by you. If you voted for this guy, I want you to text your friend who didn't and tell them you were wrong. If you didn't vote for him, share this video with everyone you know, because this isn't an accident. This is not a bug. This is what Newsom wanted. This is the feature. They took your money. They gave it to a guy from Honduras for a boob job. And when he asked why, they told you to shut your mouth. People would die. That's California in 2026. Hit subscribe, share this with your uncle, because this one's not going anywhere until enough people are loud enough to make it go somewhere. I'm Ramin. This is Real Talk. I'll catch you in the next one.